Hello and welcome to OCR Talk. My name is Jason Dupree, and this is the Spartan Seattle Pan American Championships edition. I apologize for the beep. I'm done with the filming today, and I got some lunch, and now I'm going to head back to the hotel and start editing the coverage. And I say editing because I had 0 rabbits today. Now, that's not to blame anybody. You know, everybody's got stuff going on, and even if they're out here, obviously there's, they're racing and whatever. Not whatever. That sounds better. But, everybody's racing and doing their thing, so I get it. I understand. It's okay. It's not a big deal. But it's just surprising. It's the first time. I'm trying to think of another. I know, Savage the other weekend. I was by myself for that one for Maryland, but we've got the Savage employees, Jessica and Rachel, with us, and I know we've always got them. So never really make a big push for Savage, even though we do actually have people at least 1 and 2 or 3 for a couple of the other ones, the other 2 races already, which is awesome. But I really can't think back to another race besides maybe another Savage that we didn't have anybody. So I was kind of surprised. But good news is this course was for a beast, about as perfect as it gets for having just myself. So since it was just myself, I was like, all right, even if it's just me, I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to bring out all my cameras and put them out on course. And that way, when I'm, covering whoever, we'll still have at least the other people going through those particular obstacles. Particularly the end. Having one at the finish line where you could see the rig and the finish was great. And I'll talk about where the rest of them were in a bit, but that let me run out on course and I knew, first place coming through, I knew that they had a big enough gap. They probably weren't going to get past. There's always, something can always happen, but more than likely. So, same thing for actually, I'd say, well, we'll get into the race in a second, but yeah, there could have been some action on that second and third. So, I actually haven't looked at the results yet for the men, so I don't know who won yet. So it'll actually be a surprise for me whenever I go back and watch, or I'll probably look it up later in a little bit to find out. But, so let's talk about the race. This course is not a mountain course. It's not an elevation. We're at, I tell you the elevation we're at right now. 57? Is that right? 57 feet altitude. That don't seem right, but that's what it says. I didn't realize that we were that low to sea level. That's wild. And my watch, I think after running 9 miles today, I think I got about 500 feet of gain, and that was it. So yeah, pretty wild. The only part of the course that really had hills was the first section of the course. I can't really remember. Don't know how far in it was. Maybe 5 or 6, 7 miles, somewhere in there. And yeah, so that had all the elevation basically. And then after they get out of there, they get into where the festival area is, and there's a big, just open field area. So they had a lot of just back and forth, in and out of stuff. And it was great for me because I could just cut the course. I could see where somebody was from far away and be like, okay, I'm with so-and-so, but I see so-and-so's catching up and all that good stuff. So, great course. It was very wet. Even though it wasn't raining at first, the fog was just in the air, and so it just kind of felt like a drizzle the whole time, I think. And, well, I say that. It wasn't really drizzling at first, but it definitely started to get a little rainy later. Actually, no, yeah, right at the beginning. What am I saying? But it was just, I think it was just the fog starting to settle. You know, as the sun was coming up, I think that's what it was. So, very wet obstacles all the way through. With the elites, I wouldn't say there was a lot of mud. Now, they did put them through water several times, go through creek crossings, and cross over a river, dunk wall, ditches, you know, pretty much anywhere there was water, they put them through it. So, right out the gate, some of the guys start running fast. I mean, just crazy fast. So fast that, like, the second pack of guys were like, this is a beast, guys, come on. I think somebody shouted that at Rose, maybe. Rose Wetzel. She was first lady out the gate. Very fast. And it was great that they had the ladies go with the men. This is probably the biggest crowd that we had for any of the series. I would say out of all three series, U.S., Canada, and Mexico. Except for Mexico, because they kept running the age group. They ran it like competitive instead of like pro. I don't know why. Eduardo, if you're listening to this, I don't know why y'all did that. But I think he did it at one race, but not the other two. I don't know. Anyway. Okay. So, hot out the gate. They go right to the woods, and there's just briars everywhere. A lot of really just rough terrain. And you pass by this, like, little rock. Not a quarry, but like a place where they kind of store different types of rocks and minerals and stuff, sand, whatnot. Pardon my throat. I got that. I did 9 miles today, and although I've taken my sodium, I still am getting. I can feel that dehydration. But so we got into some nasty stuff, and then they go into this section that was just like all through the woods for a while. It was cool because I got to see them at this river crossing, so got some great video of them splashing through the water. Really good. And then I caught up with Balin Bean was out in front. Actually, he was out in front right then already. He was out in front at the water crossing. Behind him was Brendan Neely from Canada and Manuel Defoe behind him, and Rylan Shaddick, and I'm going to say Sean Roberts was next. I was able to stay there. I had a good plan for, like, I know they're going to go back in these trails, and it's going to be about this many minutes before I need to get back to the next spot. So I waited there for the top 3 women. Rose came through first, and then Nicole, and then Lauren Weeks. Pretty sure, yep. Lauren Weeks was third. Pretty sure. And so then I went to the next section of the course where I was going to catch them. And there was like you didn't really have to use the ropes. And I think Balin didn't. Balin was the first one there. I don't think he used the ropes. But it was a very steep section to get up this hill and then go out from there. Follow him out. Then I stuck with him as long as I could. And then Brendan came through. Stuck with him as long as I could. Then Manuel came through. Stuck with him as long as I could. You know. And then Ryland came through. And so I'm running with these guys this whole way. And then I cut the course, caught back up with Balin. And then we're down basically in the festival area. So I was able to follow Balin through sandbag carry, rolling, trench warfare or whatever, like barbed wire crawl with trenches, dunk wall, rolling mud, Atlas, maybe a slip wall after that, Atlas, carry, spear throw, and bucket carry, and just on and on. So got to see them do a lot of different stuff. And all the while, I could see the other guys coming through, and like I could see where they all were, cause see how close everybody was, which was really interesting. And one of the girls pointed this out while I was interviewing them. It was very weird because you could see somebody, like they could, even though as far back as they were from the front men, they had spots where they could see the front men, but it gave you no indication of how far back you were. So even when they saw the ladies in front of them, it really didn't tell you much. You know, were you close or not? You don't know. And then, basically, the guys held their places until out by the box, and Balin came through, and I think Ryland came through second at that point. So Brendan was behind him, and then Manuel Defoe. And then when there was another wood section there, and they came through to Monkey in the Middle. I think the Balin, Ryland, and Brendan, all three of them made it. Manuel Defoe failed, and I just saw a reel from him earlier. He hit a tree early on and like ran into it, I guess, on accident, and like really hurt his shoulder. So he said he was really struggling with his shoulder the rest of the race. And then he failed it. So it kind of, he didn't really have a chance to catch up to third. Because he was in third at that point. He didn't really have a chance to catch third at that point after failing that. And there was a pretty good penalty for that. Take 2 kettlebells, run this loop, decent sized loop, and with a wire crawl towards the end of it. So pretty good. So basically I let them go. Ryland and Brendan were pretty close. I think Ryland was getting off of Monkey in the Middle when Brendan was getting on it. So I'd be curious to see what happened with them at the end. For the women, by this point, Nicole was out in front, and then Lauren Weeks was behind her, good ways behind her. Nicole failed Monkey in the Middle, so she had to do penalty loop. But Lauren was getting on Monkey in the Middle as Nicole was leading. And then Cassandra Gill was behind Lauren. So at some point, Cassandra had passed Rose, and I think all the girls, Nicole was, so Monkey in the Middle was 2 sections of Twister, a section of Monkey Bars, and a section of Beater. And Nicole decided to try gloves, and she made it all the way to the first beater, and the second beater's higher. And where, it's basically a cross, where, or plus sign, whatever you want to call it. So where you got to grab the bar could be rotated in any which direction. And when she got there, the closest bar to her was really high. And so her momentum wasn't quite good enough to carry her up to grab it. So when she reached out for it, she just like misgrabbed and then slipped off from there. So she almost had it. I feel like if it was just in the right position, I think she would have had it for sure. Laura Weeks got to the monkey bars, and she dropped and did the penalty. Sandra Gill, I didn't see it at this point. I knew she was in third because I saw her at the box, but I didn't see her. So I went on to follow the women to the finish and trying to chase Lauren Weeks down. I looked down at my watch and I was doing about a 7:30, I think. And so she was easily doing 7-minute mile or better on that last running section. And then crossing the finish line, Nicole Miracle, Lauren Weeks, Cassandra Gill, and then Rose. So Nicole just, I don't know, she opened it up somewhere and took it home. Pretty amazing. So that was the race. Again, I'm expecting the guys' positions to be what I saw towards the end, but I can't confirm yet. And so now let's get into the technical stuff. So I went and scouted yesterday, and because I knew that I was by myself, I brought all of my cameras, basically 5 Mevo starts and a GoPro. And you know how I've said, pretty much, if there's a mistake to be made, I'm going to do it. Like, I'm going to find all the mistakes before this is all over. One of the Mevo cameras, only one, didn't have an SD card in it. So I couldn't use it because it couldn't record. Something I forgot to check for. I'm assuming whenever I bought those SD cards in Mexico last year for the 3K, the last race in the 3K series, I must have only bought 4. Maybe I only brought the 4 cameras with me. I don't really remember. But nonetheless, so I had 5 cameras total. So it really worked out well. I put one on the dunk wall, and one at the spear throw, one at the rope climb, and then where's the next one? Dunk wall, spear throw, rope climb. Oh, at the finish. One was at the finish, where I could see the finish in the rig, which is nice. And then the last one, the GoPro, I put on Monkey in the middle. And that rig was so long, I couldn't put it just in the middle and have it see everything. So I ended up putting it towards the end and having it on the end in the corner. It could see the bells and the start. Obviously, they're very far away looking because it's wide angle. So, I could zoom in a little bit, try to do all that stuff, but so that's where it went. Now, the funny thing about this is that the Mevo Start cameras have a 5.5 to 6 hour battery life. So I knew I could take them out early, start on recording, because I wanted to get a timer on them so I can line them all up easily. And so I started recording with them probably about 5:30, and knowing how long could a beast potentially take. It's not a mountain beast, so I didn't expect it to be 3.5 hours, but figured the women maybe could be 3 hours. Turns out they were less than 2.5 hours, I think. The men were probably around 2 hours, maybe even under. And but the GoPro recording, turned on a recording, only gets about an hour and a half. And it was that far into the course, I knew that I couldn't turn it on at the beginning, 5:30 in the morning, and the battery lasts. So my plan, which worked out beautifully, was to course cut and get to the GoPro when the guys were headed out to that direction and turn it on then. So that's exactly what I did. I ran out there, got it turned on, plenty of time to go. Actually, before the guys went into that last trail wood section, because I caught them coming through the box, and so I had plenty of time on the GoPro. GoPro, I think, filmed for hour 20 minutes or so before I got back to it and turned it off. So it worked out really, really well. So that means we got everybody going through that monkey in the middle, basically. Plus all those other obstacles I was talking about. So that's fantastic. I'm really excited about that. really, really pumped about that. Because just being by myself, it's like, even with the course being as it was, there's only so much I could cover. And I knew that. And getting those cameras out there, having the ability to basically cover obstacles while I'm out chasing whoever it is I'm on, was great. It made me feel a lot better, made me know that I could, put in the effort towards the front guys and try to watch the fight and be good to go there. And then still not feel too bad about not being on the front women. Now, cool thing is, though, at the very beginning, they go hot out the gate, and I try to stick with them as best I can, which is like seconds. And then they all leave me. But at the beginning, everybody, even the women, are running fast. So I'm catching video of everybody out the start because they're all passing me up. So that works. So I got some women in the beginning. And I did get them at that water crossing, which was great as well. But then I didn't see the women again until Monkey in the Middle. Or the box. So that, it's unfortunate that I didn't get to cover them in that middle section of the race. But kind of cool thing is, since they, finish after the top three men, I did get my mic and go interview the top three, but all the men are already gone. So I didn't get to interview the top three men. So it's kind of a trade-off. I got to watch a lot of the race of the top three men, but I got interviews of the women as well as their finishes. I got the women's top three finishes too. So trade-off there. One other thing that, if I can make a mistake, I will find it. I will find every mistake there is to make. My flight was out at like 11 or 12:30, so I had plenty of time in the morning to get everything together. And I almost walked out of my office without the computer, my laptop, because the plan is to edit this today and tomorrow. Because I know it's not, we don't want to watch me standing there for 10 minutes. So I'm going to try and edit this as quick as I can so that when we do the live show with Jack and Bracken, we'll just, make that known. This is an edited version of the race. We're going to see these cuts at certain points. And, but we're still going to have a lot of action. And so I almost walked out. I was like, I saw it and I was like, oh my goodness. I almost walked out without my computer. And I was like, thought my book sack felt light. I left the battery pack. I unplugged it and left it. So yeah. But last night I realized, and I ordered one on Amazon, so it's going to come to this hotel today. Overnighted it. Hopefully early enough that I can use it, but we'll see. I got at least a couple hours of charge right now. But anyways, I'm going to get inside and get to work. Thanks for listening. 30 days. We're still in the middle of 30 days of 30 podcasts of September. So continue checking out, OCR, the OCR Report podcast tomorrow, or World Toughest Podcast. So I forget which one. And I'll still run Adventurous, Fran and Carlo, Good Gritty Training Podcast, Jack, Chorus, and Strength of Speed. And take care, and I'll see you guys next weekend. All right, I got some bonus content for you guys. Lots of technical things happened yesterday, so lots of interesting things to talk about. So when I got back, when I ended this episode yesterday, I just got back to the hotel. And when I got, first off, I got into the hotel and I didn't have the battery plug for my laptop yet. I forget exactly how much I went into yesterday, but in case I didn't say it, I forgot my battery pack. I'm pretty sure I said this. I forgot my battery pack at home. So I ordered one on Amazon next day shipping. And it was saying by 10 p.m. It was saying I was going to get there by 10 p.m. Like, oh, I know I got at least a couple of hours of battery just on, on the laptop itself. And in reality, I had probably about an hour because of plugging all the devices in. And while things were, loading, I was copying all the videos from the phone, from all 5 cameras onto the laptop. And all the while those things are all happening, it was all charging those devices off of the battery from the laptop. So that drained the battery, more quickly than it normally would. Because I normally would have about 2 hours, but yeah, only had about an hour. But it was enough time to get everything onto the laptop. Pretty sure I got all the videos copied over, which is great. I actually started, so I got them all on there, and I actually started setting up the video editing project. Started importing some of the videos, and about that time, that's when the battery died. And so I was like, well, I know I got to wait. There's nothing else I can do but wait. So I ended up taking a bath because it was, I've been running all morning, and I like having a hot bath after, like a nice relaxing bath after a hard run. And, over the course of this weekend, I did 15 miles in total. I did 11 yesterday. And so I was like, well, I got nothing else to do, so I'll go ahead and take a bath. So I took a bath and just kind of took my time. And then, I think not long after I got out, the Amazon app said that the package was 2 stops away. And I was like, what? Already? It was like, 1:30, something like that. And so I was very surprised and thankful, but not trying to get my hopes up too much. So I ended up just kind of hanging out for a little bit, and then I went down. It said it was 1 stop away for a while. It's like, I don't know if they were just dropping off a ton of packages in a place, but it was like a place across the highway. It wasn't far away, but it just took a while. So I was like, maybe they delivered it and it just hasn't updated it. So I went downstairs and I was waiting. It still didn't say that it had been delivered. So I went and just sat in the lobby. Went and sat in the lobby and just played on my phone for a little bit, just sitting in this, on this couch. And then, eventually I was like, all right, let me go ask, because it still says, 1 stop away. So went to the counter and there was somebody in line. So I was waiting behind them. And while I was waiting in line, the Amazon man pulled up, and sure enough, that was for me. So they handed it to, one of the workers, and I was like, is that for Jason Dupre? And they looked, I was like, yep. So I showed them a license, and they're like, here you go. And so I took it upstairs, unpacked it, plugged it in, still waited to get my hopes up until I saw that. Actually, I saw that it was plugged in and started the computer up. It booted up, and it showed that it was getting power, but it showed 1%. So I waited it was about probably like 10 seconds, and before it said 2%, showing that it was going up. I was like, okay, thank goodness it works. All good. I can start getting busy. So this is probably about 2:00, and I started just editing like a madman. The cool thing I did that I think worked pretty well. Now, because I was editing the show, things didn't have to be perfect, but to save time, it makes the most sense to line things up as best as possible. You want them close, so that way whenever you're going and looking for a clip, you're not scrubbing, back and forth through the timeline trying to find when something happened. Because if it's I know so-and-so is at the rope climb at this point in time, but I don't know exactly where it's at in the video, so I gotta sit there and scrub forever. And because these are big, giant, hour plus long videos, even with a decent computer, the editing software just like it hangs here and there. And it's usually like when it's trying to load the video. So it just takes time. And so I got it, I got all 4. So I had my phone, a GoPro, and 4 Mevo starts. The phones got the timestamp. The Mevo starts do not. So when I turned them on at 5:30 in the morning, I put my phone in front of it with like the time on it. Like I went to a website that showed the exact time, like down to the millisecond. And so I had all 4 phones pointing at that phone to look at what the timestamp was. So that way when I brought them all in, because I didn't turn them on and start them recording all at the exact same time, which I could do, actually. That's actually a really good idea. It's just like put my finger on all 4 buttons and go, boop. I'll probably do that next time. I'll try that out. Because that would work really well, I think. So I put my phone in front of it. So I had to line them up. And then once I had them lined up, there was about an hour, that was 5:30. So it was about an hour, almost hour and a half before the race actually started, before my phone's video actually comes in. So I throw my phone video into the timeline, put it where about where it should be. I lined it up based off of the first person going through the dunk wall, which was Balin Bean. So I found where that was in my phone's video, and then put a marker on it, on that clip, and then went to one of the Mevo, the Mevo start camera that was on the dunk wall, and put it, lined them up. Found that marker, put the marker there, and lined them up. So I got on pretty precise to where they were lined up. And then from there, there was a good chunk of the race that was just my phone at the beginning until they got to the dunk wall. So I started editing, and as I was clipping out stuff, I would just clip everything. I clipped all beginning of all of those Mevo start cameras. I didn't need any of that. And so I just started clipping, anytime I clipped it, I clipped all the cameras because I didn't need any of those. And then I, eventually went back and deleted all the Mevo start cameras even after the race started until we got to the dunk wall because I didn't need any of that either. So once we got to the dunk wall, then there was a lot more editing to do because as people were going through, I was with Balin for the most part. And so as people were going through, especially top 3 and 4, I was looking back, always constantly checking, has so-and-so made it to the dunk wall yet? And then would cut it to where that shows as opposed to my phone. And then not far past the dunk wall was a spear throw. Had a camera there, so same thing. And so it kind of just kept building to where I would have to keep looking back until the 4th woman got past. Actually, I don't think I caught the 4th woman. I think I caught the 3rd woman coming through. Well, it was on the video, but I didn't clip it. Caught the 3rd woman coming through the dunk wall. And then after that, I was like, okay, no more having to worry about the dunk wall. And then same thing for the spear throw. Once I got there, okay, once the 3rd and 4th, actually, because she was right behind her, once they got to the dunk wall or the spear throw and they were through, then I didn't have to worry about the spear throw anymore. And then rope climb, and then from rope climb, there was a much larger gap between the next obstacle, which was, let's see, make sure I got this right. A dunk wall, spear throw. Where was the other one? Rope climb. Shoot. Dunk wall. dunk wall, spear throw, rope. Dang it. There's one more. Oh, why is it not coming to me? Doesn't matter. But the last video I had, the last camera. Oh, the finish line. Duh. Okay. So yeah. So now there's a big gap from the rope climb to monkey in the middle. So once the third person got through the rope climb, third and fourth woman got through rope climb, then I could start like looking forward and looking at the guys, get to monkey in the middle. And then at this point, I threw in the video from the GoPro that was at monkey in the middle and started cutting around all that. So then I get, and then on to the finish. So then, cutting people at the finish line. I was not with the men at the finish line, so it was nice to be able to edit that. You'll see in the video, if you watch it, I did a little bit of like zooming in and then panning around because I had a nice wide shot on a lot of things. I think I could probably up the video resolution on those cameras. Like, I know with the GoPro, I can go up easily to 4K, maybe even 8K. But in this situation like this, it probably would be nice to have it at 2K. That way, when I zoom in, it still looks really good. And same for the Mevo Start cameras. I think I can bump those up past 1080p, but that's something I'm going to look into. Because, yeah, it'd be nice to be able to zoom in on those and it not degrade the quality as much as you'll see. It's not horrible, but it would be nice to be able to zoom in tighter and it'd be cleaner. That's all. So, got all that edited. And then once I got to the end and edited it, I realized when I was doing the women's interviews, I had gone back to my car to get the mic. And I had paused the recording before I went. And while I was over there, I accidentally started recording and didn't realize it. I got unpaused it. And then when I got to the women and started, I was like, not 100% sure if this is paused or not. Because it was just kind of in the moment. I was trying to think fast. And I looked at, there's a little red marker that, like a little red light that blinks. And it was blinking. And I was like, okay, sweet. I'm good. So, hit record or unpause, and it was blinking, and I was good. I wasn't good. I stopped it. As I started interviewing Nicole, then I paused it when I was done interviewing her. Or I paused it when I started interviewing her, and I recorded it when I stopped interviewing her. And I did the same for Lauren and for Cassandra. And it was just so ridiculous. So now, lessons to be learned, Don't look at the blinking light. Look for the numbers. There's a number showing how much time has passed during the recording. So that number is not counting up unless you're recording. So that's what I got to look for now. So stupid. And I felt it was really frustrating too, because I felt like the interviews were really good. Like, I feel like I'm actually getting, in the comparison of pro interviewers, I'm sure it's nothing. But I think in comparison to how I started interviewing, I think I'm getting pretty good at asking questions on the fly. Being a rabbit out there, I've got basically all the information I need because I saw them on most of the race. I get to see who was somebody was here, somebody was in second at this point, but they were in third at this point. So I get to ask about where did you make the pass and all this good stuff. I felt really good about the interviews, and they're just don't exist. Fun. So I get to the end of the editing of the show, of the whole video. Then I go back and start doing some cleanup, basically deleting what I don't need, fixing audio. Here's an interesting tidbit about audio. At some point, I my audio on the Mevo Star cameras got just all out of whack. Like in the timeline, they weren't like where I expected. The audio from one video to be wasn't where it was, and some of them were out of sync, and it was just like, what in the world? Now I got to deal with this. I looked it up. I used DaVinci Resolve for video editing, and I looked it up, and kind of cool. So when you bring in a video, it brings in the video and the audio, and they're linked together. But you can unlink them, and then you can, delete or move them separately or do whatever you need to. So I deleted all the audio from the Mevo Star cameras, all of it. And I think from the GoPro too. Yeah. Deleted every bit of it. And I found out you can click on a video clip and press F. I don't know why, it's just press F. And then you drag the video from the media bin, drag it onto the timeline, and it brings in just the audio for that clip right where it's at, right where you need it. And you just line it up, and then you're good to go. So amazing. Such a huge time saver instead of having to figure all this, like where these audio clips go and all that. Oh man, that would have been a nightmare. So that feature alone saved me an immense amount of time. So that was really cool. Gotta take your wins or you get them. And then I did a little bit of editing. Like I said, I zoom in, pan around. Like if somebody did the rope climb, I zoom in to where all you see is the rope climb, and then as they run away, it pans with them as they run off towards the next obstacle. So stuff like that, I think, it's gonna make for a good show. I don't care for cutting it where like say there's a penalty loop past Monkey in the Middle or at Monkey in the Middle, and they carry these dumbbells out into the woods for a second, and then a few moments later they come out. So I'm editing it to where you see them in one spot, and then it cuts to where they're coming out of the woods, and it's clearly edited. That's all I'm saying. It was looking like I was being able to edit the show to where it didn't like, obviously there were sections that were cut out, but it wasn't just like blatant stuff like that. But as I got towards later parts of the video, there's just nothing I could do about it, and I didn't want to leave in too much and just make the show extra long for no reason, because it's an edited video anyway. It's like, this doesn't really matter. So I kind of let that go and edit it to where you don't have these spots to where they're running from far away and I'm super zoomed in and it doesn't look that great anyways, and we're just watching them for 2 minutes run to me, like that kind of stuff. So I cut a lot of that stuff out. So I think it's going to be a good show. We're still going to do it live. So it's going to be very interesting. Very first time that we've ever done this, where it's edited and a live replay, to where we're doing live commentary, no camera switching. So that'd be cool. I'm just going to play the one video and that's it. But we'll still do, take a look at the course map ahead of time. During the race, I'll do graphics I'll do graphics for timer, because I've got nothing to base it off of, because things jump around. So we won't have a timer, but we'll have at some of the splits, where the timing mats are, we'll have top 5 with the splits, how far back people are. So that'll be nice to kind of keep everybody mindful of where are we at in the race, how much time has passed, where's everybody at. And I'm going to try this as well. Since there's no camera cutting, there's not going to be a picture in picture. So I'm thinking of taking the map, and I've got, before the race, if we go over the map, I'll zoom in, pan around to the different parts of the map. So I'm thinking to show that zoomed in part of the map in the picture-in-picture as they get to each section. So kind of give the viewers a gauge of where they are on the course. So we'll see how that goes. I think it'll be cool. And the video itself is about an hour and 9 minutes. So with commentators, however much time they take ahead of time, showing the results at the end, all that good stuff. Could be hour 30, maybe hour 30-minute show, I think. I've got to go left here. Yeah. So we'll see. I think it'll be good. We're going to do it Monday evening, and you'll have had the chance to see it already. But Monday evening at 8 Eastern. Was that 4? 8, 7, 6, 5. 5 Central, 5 Eastern. Oh my goodness. 5 Pacific. Yeah. 2B. Yeah, I'm taking the right exit. Okay. So, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, here's another interesting tidbit. I get the results from Spartan. Eric Keene, awesome dude, does a lot of their timing stuff. It's like their director of timing. I don't know what his official name title is, but he gives me links that come straight out of race results. This is, I can see the city, Seattle. Straight out of the race results, and it's an API link that gives a JSON formatted JSON, not JASON. JSON formatted data that I can put into vMix. T-Mobile Park. Who plays there? I don't even know. What kind of stadium is it? I couldn't even tell you. Seattle Seahawks? Is that right? I don't know. I don't know football that much, guys. Okay, so I get the links, and usually he just sends me the links. Now, something he changed this time is he gave me the ability to log into race results and go to a page that's got the links there ready for me. So he doesn't have to copy them all and email them to me. Now I can just go in and grab them myself, which is awesome. So nice time saver on his end. And I also don't have to, the only thing I have to wait for him for is I think he has to copy basically like the result format. So like all the splits and the top 10, he's got them named like the OCR report, such and such. And so I think he's just got to copy those into that race. And then once that's there, I think there's nothing else to do. I just go in and grab the links. So pretty cool there. Kind of funny. The split data, one of the data fields was misspelled. Instead of saying 4, it was Gore. But I was able to go in and adjust that myself, which is cool. And whenever, let's see. Oh, Ashley Heller DNF'd. I don't know why, but she only made it through the first 2 splits. For some odd reason, in the split data for those 2 splits, it shows her at the top of the list. So that's something that we got to figure out. Why did it do that? Now, I just made the adjustment on my side in vMix. Instead of pulling that top line, I'm just pulling the next 5. So not a big deal there, but that was interesting. So I got the show ready. I got the vMix show all ready to go. When I get to the airport, I'm going to do a little bit of event package prep. So basically, like, I've got Google slide decks that I put in, who the athletes are, information about the race, location, time, what the race is, who's the start line roster, course map, what obstacles there are, just as much detail, like rule book for the race, information like what the prize payout is, just every bit of information that I can gather for the commentators. So I need to work on that for Bracken and Jack Bauer, who is going to, I just realized I had a tea that I left at the hotel. Jack and Bracken are going to commentate for us on Monday. And so I want to try and give them as much information to prep on as possible. And I started doing that after Utah in 22, because that was our first big live stream that was decent. We had David Magida, Bracken Crocker, and Kirk DeWitt. And Bracken, if you ever listen to this, I'm pretty sure it's because you didn't want to do it without Kirk. I don't know why that's not the case anymore, but at the time, you guys were like a package deal. Maybe it was because you guys wanted to do it just yourselves, but we had Magida as well. I don't know. That matter. Eventually, we came to realize that it's better to have just two people, especially with the delay in the talking to each other. It's better to have two people instead of three. I was looking back at a race recently that it was you two guys. I just remember which one it was. Don't know. But anyways, so that's that. Get that prepped for them. And then once I get the event package prepped, then I'll go prep this for next Wednesday. Next Wednesday being the release of this OCR Talk episode. So good to go. That's it. It went extremely well for being, like I said yesterday, that course just lended itself to letting me get almost everywhere. And it was awesome. I had a great time. I was destroyed last night, so I was like, I can't go race in the morning, to do an all obstacles video. I'm behind 2 all obstacles videos anyway. I still got to post Europe Stuff and Smutter and Spartan Savage Maryland, which I'm getting close to being done with both of those, so they might come out back to back, hopefully this week. But I was like, I can't put another all obstacle video on myself, and I've got all this stuff to do, and my brain needs to not turn into mush. So I just said, screw it. Let me get some good sleep tonight. Try to catch an early flight home. If not, I'll just be working in the airport till my originally scheduled one. So that's it. For real this time, go listen to 30 Days, 30 Podcasts, all the other podcasts at the OCR Report. Go check out. If you don't, obviously you can go find them all in your podcast app. But if you go to our Instagram page, we've got the schedule, a little calendar shows everybody. And if you go to youtube.com/at the OCR Report podcast with an S on the end, podcasts. There you will see playlists under podcast or playlist, one or the other, and it will show all the different shows we got. So, except for Straight to the Speed, that one's not on, or Nitty Gritty Training, that's not on there either. Anyways, thanks for listening. I'll see you next week for Savage, Georgia.